A gang of bikers surrounded Steven Seagal at a desert gas station. The leader grabbed his collar and said, "Old man, you're in our territory now." But when Steven calmly removed his sunglasses, the leader's face went pale, because he recognized something that made his blood run cold. And what happened in the next 8 minutes became a legend no biker club will ever forget. It was supposed to be a quiet drive through the Nevada desert. Just Steven Seagal, his SUV, and the open road. No cameras, no crowds, no drama. But sometimes trouble finds you even when you're not looking for it. The Scorpion Riders? 7 hardcore bikers with a reputation for shaking down anyone who crossed their path. They saw an older man alone, at a rundown gas station. Easy target. Or so they thought. The leader, a mountain of a man called Viper, walked up slow, confident like a predator circling prey. Nice truck. Shame if something happened to it. Steven didn't even look up, just kept pumping gas. That made Viper angry. "I'm talking to you, old man." Steven turned his head slightly. "I heard you. Then show some respect." Steven finished pumping, capped the tank, and finally slowly removed his sunglasses. And that's when Viper saw his eyes, cold, calm, deadly calm, the kind of eyes that have seen real violence, and handed it out. "Wait, do I know you?" Steven smiled faintly. "You're about to." "Okay, real talk, if you were Steven right now, what would Lao you do? Call the cops and let justice take its course? Or give them a second chance? Comment below. JOSTE or MRCY, let's see what kind of person you are." Steven stared at Ricky for a long moment. The older biker stood there, hands trembling, eyes filled with genuine fear. Not fear of getting hurt, but fear of losing the only thing in his life that mattered. His daughter. Steven looked down at his phone. The sheriff's number was already dialed. One tap, and this would all be over. These men would face consequences. Justice would be served. But then Steven thought about something. About all the times in his own life when someone could have ended him, and didn't. About the teachers who saw potential in a troubled kid, instead of just another problem. About the masters who gave him discipline when he could have fallen into darkness. About second chances. Slowly Steven lowered the phone. "You know what, Ricky?" Ricky's voice was barely a whisper. "Well, I believe you." Ricky's knees nearly buckled. You do? I believe you want to be better. I believe you love your daughter. And I believe that locking you up won't fix what's broken." Steven slipped his phone back into his pocket. Viper exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for an hour. "Thank you, man. Thank you so much. I'm not finished." Viper froze. Steven's eyes swept across the group, all 7 bikers, some still on the ground, some standing but shaken. "I'm not calling the cops. But you owe me anything. Name it." Steven crossed his arms. "There's a veterans shelter 2 towns over. Desert Pines Veterans Center. You know it." Viper nodded slowly. "Yeah, I've seen it. They're understaffed, underfunded. They've got guys coming back from Afghanistan, Iraq, guys struggling with PTSD, addiction, homelessness. They need help." Steven pointed at Viper. "You and your crew are going to show up there every Saturday for the next 6 months, Stott." Viper blinked. "Wait, that's it. You're going to serve food, clean the facilities, listen to their stories, help them fix things, be useful." Snake Tattoo, still sitting on the ground, looked confused. "You want us to volunteer? I want you to serve people who actually sacrificed something for this country. People who fought real battles. Not just shook down travelers at gas stations." Steven's voice hardened. "And if I hear even once, that you've gone back to your old ways, that you've hurt someone, robbed someone, intimidated someone," he stepped closer to Viper, "I will find you, and next time I won't be this nice." Viper swallowed hard. "We'll do it. I swear." Steven walked over to Snake Tattoo, who was still sitting in the dirt, and extended his hand. Snake Tattoo stared at it like it was a foreign object. "Get up." Hesitantly, Snake Tattoo took Steven's hand. Steven pulled him to his feet with surprising strength. "How old are you?" 23. "You've got your whole life ahead of you. Don't waste it trying to be tough." Snake Tattoo looked down, ashamed. "I don't know how to be anything else." "Then learn. There are dojos in every city. Teachers who'll show you how to turn anger into discipline, rage into strength." Steven released his hand. "You've got potential. But potential means nothing if you don't do something with it." Snake Tattoo's lip trembled. Nobody had ever talked to him like this before. Not his parents. Not his teachers. Not anyone. "I'll try. Don't try. Do real quick. Comment Pontanal if you think everyone deserves a chance to change. And tell me, Have you ever been given a second chance that changed your life? Share your story below. I read every single comment. Steven opened his door, about to climb in. Then he paused, turned back around. One more thing. The bikers looked up. 6 months from now, when your time at the shelter is done, come find me. Viper frowned. Why? Because if you've actually changed, if you've actually put in the work, I'll help you. Job connections, references, opportunities. Ricky's eyes widened. You'd do that for us? Steven nodded. I believe people can change. But you have to prove it. Words are cheap. Action is everything. He climbed into his SUV, started the engine. Oh, and one more thing?
Yeah.
Viper asked. That veterans shelter? They're hosting a fundraiser barbecue next month. I'll be there. Steven smiled faintly. So I'll see you then. Don't be late. He rolled up his window and drove off, leaving a cloud of dust and 7 bikers standing in stunned silence. For a long moment, nobody said anything. Then Snake Tattoo broke the silence. Did that really just happen? Ricky wiped his eyes. It did. Viper stared down the road, shaking his head in disbelief. We just got our asses handed to us by Steven Seagal, and he gave us a second chance. The stocky biker, still clutching his ribs, groaned. I can't believe we attacked Steven freaking Seagal. I can't believe he didn't destroy us. The bearded one added. Viper turned to his crew.
All right.
Listen, we show up at that shelter. Every single Saturday. You serious? Snake Tattoo asked. Dead serious. That man could have ended us. Instead, he gave us a shot at redemption. Viper's voice grew firm. We don't waste it. Ricky nodded, voice thick with emotion. I'm in. For my daughter, I'm all in. One by one, the others nodded.
Even Snake Tattoo, yeah.
All right, let's do it. As they climbed back onto their motorcycles, Viper looked at the dust cloud still hanging in the air where Steven had driven off. That man's a legend. Ricky smiled. He's more than that. He's proof that strength isn't about hurting people. It's about lifting them up. Drop RESPT in the comments if this moment gave you chills. And tell me, do why you think these bikers will actually change? Or will they go back to their old ways? Comment. Sagare or Ralasi, let's see what you predict. The sun was barely up when Viper's phone buzzed on his nightstand. He groaned, rolled over, and grabbed it. A text from Ricky. You coming today? Shelter opens at 8. Viper sat up, rubbing his face. For a moment, he thought about ignoring it. About going back to bed. About forgetting the whole thing. But then he remembered Steven's eyes. That calm, unwavering stare. And the promise he'd made. An hour later, 7 motorcycles pulled into the parking lot of Desert Pines Veterans Center. It wasn't much to look at. A low, single-story building with chipped paint, a sagging roof, and a chain link fence that had seen better days. A faded American flag hung from a pole near the entrance, moving slightly in the morning breeze. Viper dismounted first. All right. Let's get this over with. Snake Tattoo looked nervous. What if they don't want us here? I mean, we look like criminals. We are criminals? The stocky biker muttered. Ricky shook his head. Not anymore. We're trying to be better. Remember that? They walked up to the entrance. Before Viper could knock, the door swung open. The man's face was weathered, scarred, but his eyes were sharp. He wore a faded Marine Corps t-shirt. You the bikers Steven told me about. Viper blinked. Yeah, that's us. The veteran looked them up and down, expression unreadable. Then he smiled. Good. We need the help. Come on in. The interior was simple but clean. Rows of folding tables. A small kitchen in the back. A bulletin board covered with photos of veterans. Some smiling, some in uniform, some missing limbs. About 20 men sat at the tables. Some eating breakfast, some reading, some just staring into space. The Marine led them to the kitchen. Name's Eddie. Served 3 tours in Vietnam. Lost my leg to a landmine in 71. He handed Viper an apron. You're on breakfast duty. Scrambled eggs, toast, coffee. Think you can handle that? Viper took the apron awkwardly.
Yeah.
I think so. Eddie nodded. Good. Because these men have been through hell. The least we can do is give them a hot meal. For the first hour, the bikers worked in silence. Cracking eggs. Flipping toast. Pouring coffee. It was harder than they expected. Not the work itself, but the weight of it. Snake Tattoo set the plate down. Here you go, man. The veteran didn't respond. Didn't even look up. Snake Tattoo hesitated, then walked away. But something about that blank stare, it stuck with him. Ricky paused at one photo. A young soldier, maybe 20 years old, grinning in front of a Humvee. Below it a small caption A. Corporal James Martinez. Kia Kandahar 2011. Gone but never forgotten. Ricky's throat tightened. That kid looked younger than his daughter would be in 10 years. Pause for a second. Type H0 if you have respect for every veteran who's ever served. And if you know a vet personally, drop their name in the comments. Let's honor them. And Eddie took a sip and studied Viper carefully. So, Steven Seagal, huh? Viper chuckled, embarrassed. Yeah. We messed with the wrong guy. I heard. He told me you attacked him. Viper looked down. We did. And he had every right to throw us in jail. But he didn't. Why do you think that is? Viper was quiet for a moment. I don't know. Maybe he saw something in us we didn't see in ourselves. Eddie nodded slowly. That's what good men do. They don't just punish, they rebuild. He gestured around the room. Most of these guys, society gave up on them, told them they were broken. Useless, too damaged to fix. Eddie's voice hardened. But they're not broken. They're wounded. And there's a difference. Viper met his eyes. What's the difference? Broken can't be fixed. Wounded can heal. It just takes time. And someone who believes in you. Meanwhile, across the room, Snake Tattoo had returned to the table where the silent veteran sat. He'd been sitting there for 2 hours now, untouched food in front of him. Snake Tattoo pulled up a chair. Hey man, you okay? No response. I know you probably don't want to talk. That's cool. But your food's getting cold. Still nothing. Snake Tattoo sighed. Look, I don't know what you've been through. I'm not going to pretend I do. But I know what it's like to feel empty. Snake Tattoo continued. I've spent my whole life angry. At everyone. At everything. Use that anger to hurt people. Make them scared of me. He stared at his hands. But I'm starting to realize I was just scared too. Scared of being weak, being forgotten, being nothing. The veteran slowly turned his head, looked at Snake Tattoo for the first time. His voice was raspy, like he hadn't spoken in days. What's your name? Snake Tattoo blinked, surprised. I'm Marcus. But everyone calls me Snake. The veteran nodded. I'm Tyler. Nice to meet you, Tyler. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Tyler picked up his fork and took a bite. Comment res PT if you think Marcus just had the most important conversation of his life. And tell me, have you ever connected with someone in an unexpected moment like this? Share your story. We're all listening. By the end of the day, the bikers were exhausted. Not from the physical work, but from the emotional weight of it all. As they walked back to their bikes, Eddie stopped them at the door. You're coming back next week, right? Viper nodded without hesitation.
Yeah.
We'll be here. Eddie smiled. Good. Because Tyler asked if Marcus would be here next Saturday. Marcus's eyes widened. Hey, he did.
Yeah.
I think you got through to him. First time he's spoken in 2 weeks. Marcus's voice cracked. I'll be here. Eddie clapped him on the shoulder. That's what I like to hear. As they rode down the highway, Viper thought about what Eddie had said. Broken can't be fixed. Wounded can heal. Maybe they weren't broken after all. Maybe they were just wounded. And maybe, just maybe, they were finally starting to heal. But here's the twist you didn't see coming. Because 3 weeks later, something happened that would test everything they'd learned. And it involved Steven Seagal once again. Type re80Y if you want to know what happens next. And tell me, do you think these bikers are ACTUALY changing, or is this just temporary? Comment real kanji or tempo ROI. Let's see what you think. It was a Saturday morning, just like any other. The Scorpion riders pulled into the parking lot of Desert Pines Veterans Center right at 7:45 a.m. They'd been coming every single week without fail. No excuses. No complaints. Marcus had formed a bond with Tyler, who was slowly coming out of his shell. Ricky had started leading group discussions about fatherhood and redemption. Even Viper, the once feared leader, had become Eddie's right-hand man, helping organize events and fundraisers. But today was different. Today was the fundraiser barbecue Steven had mentioned. And true to his word, he was coming. Eddie met them at the entrance, looking more stressed than usual. We've got a problem. Viper frowned. What's wrong? The grill we rented for the barbecue. Delivery truck broke down 2 hours away. Won't be here until tonight. What about the food? We've got 200 pounds of meat that'll spoil if we don't cook it soon. And we're expecting over 100 people in 3 hours. Marcus stepped forward. I've got a buddy who owns a food truck. Let me make some calls. Ricky nodded. I know a guy with industrial grills. He owes me a favor. Viper pulled out his phone. I'll rally the rest of the club. We can have 10 more guys here in an hour with equipment. Eddie's eyes widened. You'd do that? Viper smiled. Eddie, you gave us a chance when we didn't deserve one. This is the least we can do. Type bar.They in the comments if you believe real change looks like this. And tell me, when was the last time you went out of your way to help someone? Let's spread some positivity. Within 2 hours, the parking lot had transformed. 3 massive grills smoking. Tables set up with red and white checkered tablecloths. A banner reading, "Tiekro to Oyur veterans," and the smell of barbecue filling the desert air. Tyler walked up to Marcus, who was manning one of the grills. "You actually pulled this off." Marcus grinned. "Told you we'd make it happen." Tyler hesitated, then extended his hand. "Thank you for listening, for showing up." Marcus shook it firmly. "Nah, man. Thank you. You reminded me what courage actually looks like." At 11:30 a.m., a black SUV pulled into the lot. Steven Seagal stepped out wearing jeans, a black shirt, and sunglasses. Eddie walked over immediately, shaking his hand. "Mr. Seagal. Glad you could make it. Wouldn't miss it." Steven looked around at the setup, the grills, the decorations, the smiling faces. "This is incredible, but almost didn't happen. But your biker friend saved the day." Steven's eyebrows raised slightly. "Is that so?" Eddie pointed toward the grills where Viper, Marcus, and the others were working. "They've been here every single week. Not once have they missed a Saturday. And today, when we had a crisis, they mobilized their entire network to make this happen." He walked over slowly. Viper saw him coming and immediately straightened up. "Mr. Seagal." "Viper." There was a moment of tension. Then Steven smiled. "I heard you saved the barbecue." Viper rubbed the back of his neck, embarrassed. "Just did what needed to be done." "That's leadership." Viper looked surprised. I don't know about that." Steven placed a hand on his shoulder. "I do. You took a group of men who were lost and gave them purpose. That's not easy. You gave us the chance. We didn't want to waste it." Steven nodded. "You didn't, and I'm proud of you." Those 4 words hit Viper like a freight train. Nobody had ever said they were proud of him. Not his father, not his teachers. Nobody. He looked down, blinking rapidly. "Thank you." Steven moved through the crowd, shaking hands, taking photos, listening to stories. He sat with Tyler for 20 minutes, talking about discipline, mental health, and the importance of asking for help. He met Ricky's daughter, a bright-eyed 8-year-old who proudly told Steven, "My daddy's a hero now." Steven pulled Ricky aside later. "I meant what I said, about helping you find work." Ricky's voice cracked. "You serious? I have a friend who runs a security company. They hire veterans and people with second chances. Good pay, benefits. Honest work." He handed Ricky a business card. "Call him Monday. Tell him I sent you." Ricky stared at the card like it was made of gold. I don't know what to say. Just say you'll show up. That's all anyone can ask. Drop in the comments if you believe second chances can change lives. And tell me, if you had the power to give someone a fresh start, who would it be and why? As the sun began to set, Steven gathered the Scorpion Riders together. All 7 of them, plus the 10 who'd shown up to help. "I want to say something." They all stopped and listened. 6 weeks ago, you made a mistake. A big one. You attacked me. Tried to rob me. Disrespected me. But you did something most people never do. You owned it. You showed up. You put in the work. You changed. Steven's voice grew stronger. And now, you're not just bikers. You're mentors. You're brothers. You're proof that people can be better than their worst moment. He looked each of them in the eye. "So here's what I'm offering. I'm starting a program teaching self-defense and discipline to at-risk youth, kids who are angry, lost, headed down the wrong path." Marcus's eyes widened. "You want us to teach them? I want you to show them what transformation looks like. To be living proof that it's never too late to change." Viper's voice was barely a whisper. "You trust us with that?" Steven nodded. "I do, because you've earned it." Marcus wiped his eyes. "When do we start?" 2 weeks. "I'll send you the details." Ricky stepped forward. "Mr. Seagal, why are you doing all this for us?" Steven smiled. "Because someone did it for me once. And because I believe that everyone, even deserves a chance to become who they're meant to be." He extended his hand. "So are you in?" One by one, they shook his hand. "We're in." As Steven drove away that evening, Eddie stood next to Viper, watching the taillights disappear. "That man changed your life." Viper nodded. "He saved it." Eddie smiled. "No. He just reminded you that it was worth saving." Type Tiras for MD if this part hit you right in the heart. And tell me, what's the biggest transformation you've ever witnessed? In yourself or someone else? Share your story below. This community is built on real, powerful moments like this. But the story doesn't end here. Because what happened next proved that true change isn't just about one moment. It's about what you do with every moment after. Stay with me. You're not going to believe what comes next. A local news van pulled up to Desert Pines Veteran Center. Reporter Sarah Chen stepped out, adjusting her microphone, cameraman following close behind. She'd heard rumors about something special happening here. A story about redemption. About bikers who'd gone from outlaws to mentors, and she wanted to see it for herself. Inside, the place had been completely transformed. Fresh paint on the walls, new tables and chairs, a renovated kitchen, and in the back room, a full martial arts dojo with mats, punching bags, and training equipment. 15 kids ages 12 to 17 stood in neat rows wearing white jizz. Some looked tough, hardened. Others looked lost, uncertain. All of them had been labeled, troubled, by society. At the front of the class stood Marcus, snake tattoo, now going by his real name. His voice was firm but patient. Martial arts isn't about hurting people. It's about controlling yourself, your anger, your fear, your impulses. New tables and chairs, a renovated kitchen, and in the back room, a full martial arts dojo with mats, punching bags, and training equipment. 15 kids, ages 12 to 17, stood in neat rows wearing white jizz. Some looked tough, hardened. Others looked lost, uncertain. All of them had been labeled, troubled, by society. At the front of the class stood Marcus, snake tattoo, now going by his real name. His voice was firm but patient. Martial arts isn't about hurting people. It's about controlling yourself, your anger, your fear impulses. He demonstrated a technique, a simple wrist lock, moving slowly so they could follow. When someone grabs you, you don't fight force with force. You redirect it. Use their energy against them. A teenage boy in the front row raised his hand. But what if they're bigger than you? Marcus smiled. Doesn't matter. Technique beats size every time. Let me show you. He called up the biggest kid in the class, a 16-year-old who stood 6 feet tall and looked like he'd been in plenty of street fights. Grab my wrist as hard as you can. The kid did. Marcus barely moved, just a subtle twist, a shift of weight, and suddenly the big kid was on his knees, completely controlled. The class gasped. Marcus helped him up. See, it's not about strength. It's about understanding leverage. Physics, discipline. In the kitchen, Viper was running a cooking class. 10 veterans sat around a long table, learning how to prepare healthy meals on a budget. Most of us grew up thinking we had to be tough all the time. Viper said, chopping vegetables. But there's strength in taking care of yourself, in nourishing your body. One of them, a younger vet named Carlos, spoke up. Man, I never thought I'd see Viper from the Scorpion Riders teaching cooking classes. Viper laughed. Yeah, well, life's full of surprises. What changed you? Viper paused, knife in hand. I met someone who saw past what I was and showed me what I could be. Comment GRWTH, if you believe people can truly change when given the right guidance. And tell me, who is the person in your life who saw your potential before you did? Tag them if they're on social media. Let's honor the people who believed in us. So, Ricky, tell me, what's it been like going from a biker gang to working here? Ricky smiled, more relaxed than he'd been in years. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done, and the most rewarding. What do you mean? Being in a gang, you think you're strong because people fear you. But real strength, it's showing up every day for people who need you. Being dependable, being honest. My daughter gets to see me as a father now, not as a criminal. That's everything to me. Sarah's voice softened. What would you say to someone watching this who's in the same place you were 6 months ago? Ricky looked directly into the camera. It's never too late. I don't care how far you've fallen. I don't care how many mistakes you've made. You can still choose to be better. His voice grew stronger. But you have to actually do it. You can't just talk about change, you have to live it. Every single day. Steven Seagal stepped out, carrying boxes of new training equipment. The kids in the dojo saw him through the window and immediately rushed to Seagal.
You came?
Steven smiled, setting down the boxes. Of course I came. I wouldn't miss seeing how you're all progressing. He stopped in front of a 13-year-old girl named Maya, small, quiet, with old bruises on her arms that told a story she didn't want to share. Show me your stance. She demonstrated what Marcus had taught her. Steven adjusted her feet slightly. Good. But drop your center of gravity a little more. Feel rooted to the ground. She adjusted. Now nobody can push you over. Try it. Marcus gently pushed her shoulder. She didn't budge. Her eyes went wide, then filled with tears. I didn't fall. Steven's voice was gentle. You're stronger than you think. You always have been. You just needed to believe it. Later that afternoon, Steven gathered the Scorpion Riders outside. All of them. The original 7 plus the new members who'd joined their mission. I want to show you something. He pulled out his phone and played a video. The reporter's voice. A remarkable story of transformation in the desert. A motorcycle club once known for violence and intimidation has become a pillar of their community, running youth programs, supporting veterans, and proving that redemption is possible. Clips show it. Marcus teaching martial arts, Viper serving meals, Ricky reading to kids, the whole crew volunteering, smiling. Change the news segment ended with a quote from Eddie. These men could have gone to prison. Instead, they chose to become mentors, heroes. That's the power of a second chance. Steven turned off the phone. 6 months ago, you were lost, angry, hurting people. He looked at each of them. Now look at you. You're changing lives. You're proof that one moment of mercy can create a ripple effect that touches hundreds of people. Viper's voice cracked. Well, couldn't have done it without you. Steven shook his head. No. I just opened the door. You walked through it. You did the work. You showed up. Day after day after day. He placed a hand on Viper's shoulder. That's all you. Be proud of that. Type PRU'd if you think these men earned their redemption. And tell me, what's something you are proud of that you worked hard for? Celebrate yourself in the comments. You deserve it. As the sun began to set over the desert, the entire community gathered for a group photo. Veterans, kids, bikers, families, all standing together. Steven stood off to the side, watching. Eddie walked over. You did a good thing here. Steven smiled. What all did, you think they'll stick with it? Steven watched Marcus teaching a kid how to bow properly, watched Viper laughing with a veteran over a meal, watched Ricky holding his daughter's hand. Yeah, I think they will. How can you be sure? Steven's smile widened. Because they've discovered something more powerful than fear or anger.
What's that?
Purpose. True strength isn't found in how hard you can hit. It's found in how high you can lift others. And sometimes the greatest victories are the ones we win over ourselves. People ask me all the time, what's the secret to real power? They think it's about how hard you can hit, how tough you can be, how much fear you can create. But that's not power. That's just violence. Real power is choosing mercy when you have every right to seek revenge. Real power is seeing potential in people when everyone else sees problems. Real power is believing that people can change and giving them the space to prove it. Because the truth is, we're all one bad decision away from being lost, and we're all one act of kindness away from being found. The bikers who attacked me that day, they weren't evil. They were hurting. They were angry at a world that had given up on them. And when you feel like nobody believes in you, you stop believing in yourself. But when someone shows you that you matter, that you're worth more than your worst mistake, that's when transformation happens. This story isn't about me. It's about them. It's about every person who's ever been written off. Every person who's been told they'll never change. Every person who's been judged by their past instead of their potential. And it's a reminder that respect isn't something you demand. It's something you earn, not by making people fear you, but by lifting people up. So if you take one thing from this story, let it be this. Never underestimate the power of a second chance. Never underestimate what someone can become when you believe in them. And never, underestimate the strength it takes to forgive. Because true power isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. It speaks in silence. And it changes lives forever. Respect isn't given to the powerful. It's earned by the humble. All right, family. That's the story. But I want to hear from you. Drop recipe in the comments if you believe everyone deserves a second chance. And tell me, which part of this story hit you the hardest? Was it the confrontation at the gas station, Steven choosing mercy over revenge, Marcus connecting with Tyler, the transformation at the Veterans Center, or something else? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And listen, we've got more incredible stories coming your way. Stories about courage, redemption, and the power of the human spirit. Real lessons, real strength, real life. But here's the thing, these stories are better when you are part of the conversation. So tell me, Sin, where are you watching from right now? What did this story teach you? And who in your life deserves recognition for giving someone a second chance? Your comments, your stories, your experiences, They inspire the content we create. So don't be shy. Share your thoughts. Share your heart. Because we're building something special here. A community that believes in growth, in change, in the power of second chances. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being part of this journey. And remember, stay humble, stay strong, and never stop believing that people, including yourself, can be better tomorrow than they were yesterday. Stay powerful. Stay kind. Stay real. Steven Seagal. Amar Pavel Storas Komsom. Yar Karch. Arntrakaryuch Spira. Sharus. Lyshamio Ixama Wanritea Hoir